Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you watched my previous video, which was a vlog, you would have heard me hinting about the fact that my next video was going to be Taylor Swift related, and here we are, my friends. As you can tell from the title, today I'm going to be recommending books to you based on songs from the Tortured Poets Department album. Taylor Swift is just such an incredible songwriter, like insane. She tells stories immaculately, emotionally heartfelt, like, oh gosh. For me, don't get me wrong, like I love a good bop. I love something that I can kind of like dance to, whatever, catchy music, but there is something about a soulful song with like really meaningful, gut-wrenching lyrics that will just always steal my heart every time. And I can rely on Miss Swift to always deliver when it comes to lyrics. And I mean, if you've heard the album, it is literally emotionally damaging. Like there is maybe one or two songs on that album that have like a little bit of an uplifting feel to them. The rest of them emotionally destroying. So I've gone through the lyrics from the OG album. If you didn't know, the Tortured Poets Department became a two-part album. The first half, I just call it the OG, and then the second half, which is like the anthology. Today, I'm talking primarily about the OG first half of the album because in total, there are 31 songs on this album, and I fear with me and my rambling tendencies, we would literally be here for so long. So I've narrowed it down to the first half, and I have missed out two songs purely because, I don't know, I just couldn't fit anything that I've read to match the lyrics in the ways that I want to. So we haven't done The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, which is literally one of my favourite books from the album, but the lyrics are so intricate and like specific to, I feel like, Taylor Swift's experiences. I could have maybe loosely related it to some books, although I fear the books that I maybe had in mind I've already mentioned for other songs anyway, so I just left that. And also Clara Bow I haven't done, but all the others we do have a book for, or like characters that come in mind. So we're gonna start in track list order. So the first track is Fortnight, and I feel like the lyrics for this are very specific, but there is one book that actually, weirdly enough, I feel like related really well to the lyrics in this song, and that is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I had the arc of this at the beginning of this year. I think it's actually only recently just come out, maybe a couple of weeks ago. But this book is so unique, but because of that, I feel like it fits the uniqueness of this song's lyrics. So literally from the chorus, and for a fortnight there we were forever, run into you sometimes, ask about the weather, now you're in my backyard, turned into good neighbours, your wife waters flowers, I want to kill her. And basically this book is about a woman who discovers that her attic is producing an unlimited number of husbands. As soon as a husband goes back into the attic, it changes and a new husband comes down. It's just this endless cycle of brand new husbands. And naturally, I don't think this is a spoiler, but as you can imagine, some husbands she likes a lot more than others. However, when the husbands change, they still exist in her new life, but they've also got a completely different life. So a husband that she might have kept for a while and had a relationship with, if he goes back into the attic and she gets a new husband, that previous husband she will still see in her life, but he'll be like living a different life. He might have a different partner, etc., etc. And he doesn't know that they were ever together. It's just like a complete reset on her life, if that makes sense. I feel like it's really awkward to explain, but that's essentially the premise. So I feel like this actually suits this song so perfectly, because it's like her relationships with these husbands can literally last like a couple of hours, a day, a week, a month, depending on if and when they go back into the attic, and then obviously magic happens and then they kind of disappear from her life in that sense. So this is a really interesting book. I would highly recommend it. I really did enjoy it actually. It was really entertaining, quite funny, just something really different. It's giving like lit fic, I think. I suppose a bit of like magical realism, but not really. But yeah, definitely this is a great fit for Fortnite. Then we move on to the Tortured Poets Department. And this one I kind of struggled with because it is obviously a song about like, I feel like it's giving the sense of the male interest from this song is kind of like done with the relationship, and she's telling him like, who else is gonna love you like me? Do you think you're gonna be able to find better than me? But it's kind of not explicitly said, so I've kind of gone for the fact that they're still together and like happy-ish in that sense. I'll get to this in a minute, but basically I've gone for, because I did struggle a bit with this, but I think I can relate the final offer to the Tortured Poets department, and that might seem really random. This is probably more of a loose, detached recommendation in regards to this song, but I just particularly highlighted the lyrics of, "You're in self-sabotage mode, throwing spikes down on the road, but I've seen this episode and still love the show. Who else decodes you, and who's gonna hold you like me? Who's gonna know you if not me?" This book is about our couple, Alana and Callahan, and I can't remember actually, did they have a relationship previous? No, I think it's a childhood best friends to lovers. I don't think they were ever together. So they've known each other for a very long time, so obviously they know each other so well, but Callahan struggles with alcohol addiction. So in the sense of, you know, self-sabotage mode, and it's like, I've seen this episode but I still love the show. Like, she knows that he's a bit troubled, but she gets him. Do you know what I mean? They get each other so well. So I feel like it actually does relate to the Tortured Poets button very well, even though the vibe technically of like the song and this book I feel like are extremely different, but the lyrics just, they kind of fit together for me, you know. This was actually my favorite book from the Final Offer trilogy. It is pretty thick, but I just find that I read through these books so fast. And I know some people think that this book is too long, and I can appreciate that. But honestly, like I say, because they just read so quickly, I didn't even realize, like, I was just flying through it and I couldn't really put it down. I really, really enjoyed Alana and Cal's relationship. So I would definitely recommend this one. Obviously, they're interconnected standalones in this series, so you don't have to read them in order. If you just wanted to read this one, you absolutely could do that. Yeah, I'm going to go for this in regards to the Tortured Poets department. Then we have My Boy Only Breaks His Favourite Toys, which is such a bop. That one was like one of the songs that stuck in my head quickest. And I think the choice for this is probably pretty obvious. I feel like it's been everywhere on like Bookstagram, BookTok, all that good stuff. And that is Magnolia Parks, specifically just BJ Valentine as a character. I mean, the chorus just in itself. My boy only breaks his favourite toys. I'm queen of sandcastles he destroys. That's obviously Magnolia. Because it fit to write puzzle pieces in the dead of night. I just feel like that explains Magnolia and BJ's relationship perfectly. Like, he just cannot stop sabotaging their relationship. He just can't. He just wants his cake and he wants to eat it, and he just is so emotionally unintelligent, and he's just constantly building her up and then breaking her down. And that song is literally written with BJ in mind, and nobody can tell me different. Then we go to Down Bad, and I struggled to pair a song with this. I was really thinking about it. Again, I feel like the lyrics are specific, maybe isn't the right word. Obviously, like crying in the gym and all that stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't really relate to anything. And it's like the chorus is like repeated a lot, or just about like, oh fuck it, I wish I had him, and that could relate to any book really. So I was trying to narrow it down a little bit more. In the end, it might be the most random book rec for this song, potentially. But hear me out. After rereading the lyrics and mulling it over for pretty long, I actually feel like I can kind of relate where the Crawdads sing Down Bad. And I know that sounds ridiculous because like they are completely different vibes. But the lyrics of, did you really beat me up in a cloud of sparkling dust just to do experiments on, tell me I was the chosen one, show me that this world is bigger than us, then sent me back to where I came from. For a moment, I knew cosmic love. I'm sorry, but does that not give you like Kaya and Chase vibes? Like, he literally showed interest in her, made her feel special. She was so alone and then just left. Like, he just left and like sent her back to where she came from, her loneliness. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? That screams their relationship from where the Crawdads sing. I mean, yeah. I don't really know how else I can explain it, because that's probably the only part of that song that I can kind of put into that book. But let me know if you kind of see where I'm going with that, because it felt really silly saying it, but I think it actually makes a whole lot of sense. And when I said it, I was like, no, oh my God, like, I can't believe my brain's thought of this. Right, so track 5, So Long London, the infamous track 5. This was one of the lyrically devastating songs on the album. I think we all knew when we heard the fact that it was called So Long London, we just knew the London boy parallel, it was gonna be heartbreaking. And again, I feel like this comparison has been all over social media, but it's for a reason. It is so Magnolia Parks coded, like so Magnolia Parks coded. Oh my gosh, I could reel off the whole song, honestly. But let's just say, like, how much sad did you think I had in me? Oh, the tragedy, so long London. I stopped CPR after all, it's no use, the spirit was gone, we would never come to, and I'm pissed off that you let me give you all that youth for free. I'm not really going to go into detail this one, but I love this book, if I didn't say it before. It's probably one of my favourite books of all time. I haven't finished the series. I've only read the first book for Magnolia and for Daisy, so I need to continue both their stories, but I could tell already just from this book alone how much this song just screams Magnolia Parks. So please just trust me when I say you just absolutely need to read this book. It is written so beautifully. It's entertaining. It's more of a character study than anything else. I wouldn't say the plot is massively heavy, so I guess if you don't like that, then maybe don't read this. But I was expecting to just enjoy this and have a good time. I was not expecting to fall in love with it and connect with it as much as I did. So I would highly recommend this book. The next recommendation is for But Daddy, I Love Him. And this was really hard, I think. And then there was just one book that I just thought, oh, instantly, actually, that is perfect for that song. And that is Flawless by Elsie Silver, the first book in the Chestnut Springs series. Mostly, you know, from the chorus, running with my dress unbuttoned, screaming, but daddy, I love him. And basically, if you don't know, this book follows Summer and Rhett. Rhett is a bull rider. And Summer, I think she's to do with like PR, like her dad is part of like a PR-y type company, I can't remember. But he sends her over to Rhett just to help with, I think, like his career. I might be getting that slightly wrong. I've forgotten the fine details, but I know that her dad is involved in this book. So naturally, screaming, but daddy, I love him, I just felt that really fit, because it was like a major plot point in this book that like her dad was very much like, Rhett needs to keep his hands off of her, because he's kind of renowned for just being a bit of like a playboy per se, I suppose. But naturally she ends up falling in love with him anyway. And then you've also just got the lyrics. He was chaos, he was revelry, bedroom eyes like a remedy. Soon enough the elders had convened down the city hall, stay away from her. Also that, like, I feel like this song is so Fearless coded. The aura that Fearless exudes is still like that country-esque vibe. And like, just running in the fields and like flowers and, you know, that good stuff. And obviously Chestnut Springs is a cowboy romance series, so just the whole vibe of it for me just fits perfectly. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I love Chestnut Springs. I haven't finished the series yet. I am 3 books in and I'm having the best time. They are so easy to read and they're my first cowboy romances and I'm thoroughly converted. I have the best time when I'm reading these books. And then I'm going to come at you with another Chestnut Springs book. The next song is Fresh Out the Slammer, which is essentially a song about being stuck in a situation, maybe it's a relationship or like a life event, milestone, whatever, that's finally over and you've made it and you've survived and you're just going back to the person that means the most to you. The second I read the lyrics, it screamed Powerless and Jasper and Sloane to me. Now we're at the starting line, I did my time. Now pretty baby, I'm running to the house where you still wait up and that porch light gleams. To the one who says I'm the girl of his American dreams. These 2 characters are childhood best friends to lovers, but he has always loved Sloane, always. And it's not a spoiler, at the very beginning of this book, Sloane is about to get married to someone who isn't Jasper, and essentially she turns into like a runaway bride, and it just gives Fresh Out the Slammer vibes. Like she's done her time with this asshole bloke. Like she knew it wasn't right, but she was going to go through with it. She was like, it's easy, I'm in it now, like I've just got to put up with it and this is my life. And then Jasper's like, no, you cannot marry this guy. And she basically runs away from her wedding on her wedding day with Jasper back to his home, where she also spent a lot of time growing up because they were, you know, childhood friends. And it just screams Fresh Out the Slammer to me. Like she's going back to her true love and I love it. I love it. This is my favorite Chestnut Springs book yet. I am obsessed. I don't think I'd ever really read Childhood Friends to Lovers before this, not really, and this just made me realise how much I think I love Childhood Friends to Lovers. I had the best time with it. This is one of my 5-star reads from this year, so I would really recommend this. Then we have Florida, which is one of my favourite songs from the album. It's quite different to the rest of them, but it is giving like that slightly alternative vibe. Also, Florence and the Machine has the most insane voice ever. Like, you hear her like harmonies and everything in this song, and I'm like, who sings like that? Impressive, like so impressive. But I did struggle with this again. It's not really, it's giving like No Body, No Crime. You know, it feels like a very parallel song to that, which is basically a song about a singer's friend disappears and essentially her husband was cheating and they think that he killed her because she confronted him, so that then the singer kills him. Still very like interwoven like that. And this is giving the same kind of vibes. It's kind of saying about how singer's husband is cheating and then he mysteriously disappears and they just want to move to Florida until the shitstorm has passed and then come back to their normal life. Like, Florida is their escape. So it's very, again, very specific, a bit more of like a random song. But the closest comparison I could get to this was not specifically House of Earth and Blood, maybe probably though out of all of the books in the series, but I just thought Bryce Quinlan, based on like Florence's verse in this song, and it just says, I got drunk and I dared to wash me away, barricaded in the bathroom with a bottle of wine, well, me and my ghosts, we had a hell of a time, yes, I'm haunted, but I'm feeling just fine. I just feel like this song kind of captures the survival mode that people go through when their life is shit. And like, for this person in this song, they're just talking about isolating themselves, getting drunk to just try and cope with what's happening in their life. You know, I'm haunted, but I'm feeling just fine. Me and my ghost, we had a hell of a time. Like, it's giving Bryce at the beginning of this series. Like, her best friend has just been murdered. She's a party girl. She just wants to drown her sorrows and just be unhinged. And that's kind of what Florida's giving, is giving unhinged. This was like the closest recommendation I could get to. I love Crescent City. I'm currently reading Throne of Glass, so I can't really give a comprehensive review of all 3 of Sarah J Maas's series. But from what I've read so far from all 3, having finished ACOTAR and Crescent City, I think Crescent City is my least favourite series. I still like it, and this is actually my favourite book from the series, the first one. Yeah, if you're looking for like an urban fantasy and you're ready to commit to a lot of world building and a lot of characters and a lot of magic systems and whatever, then absolutely get yourself into Crescent City. Then we move on to Guilty as Sin, and I think what came to mind the quickest for me with this song is Akomath. And if you're completely oblivious to the ACOTAR series, I will tell you when to skip to, because I suppose this could technically be a spoiler, because Akomath and then the following books would be a big spoiler if you've only read the first book or haven't even started the series. So anyway, I'll let you know when to skip to. But this song gives Akomath and just Feyre and Rhysand specifically. Obviously, you've got like, what if the way you hold me is actually what's holy? If long-suffering propriety is what they want from me, they don't know how you've haunted me so stunningly. I choose you and me religiously. My boredom's bone deep, this cage was once just fine. Am I allowed to cry? I dream of cracking locks. Crashing into him tonight, he's a paradox. Obviously, we start Akomath with Feyre being locked up basically in Tamlin's place in the Spring Court, and through the bargain she's having to still go and see Rhys, following on from ACOTAR, and she's quickly learning that actually Rhys cares for her in a different way, and she's fed up of being locked away and caged back in the Spring Court, and she's just ready to have this life in the Night Court with Rhys. So I feel like Guilty as Sin is perfect because in theory she's betrothed to Tamlin, like they're meant to be getting married, and she's spending all of her time at the Night Court and like falling for this completely other guy. So Guilty as Sin in my mind just made perfect sense. Then we move on to I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can, and guess what? We're going back to Chestnut Springs again. This time we're going with Heartless by Elsie Silver, because I feel like Cade is just that grumpy, miserable cowboy boy, and Willow is the bubbly, life-changing woman who's gonna fix him and take him out of this gross mood that he's just always in. And again, there were certain lyrics that I heard from this song that immediately just made me think of these two as a couple. They shake their heads saying, God help her when I tell him he's my man. I could see it from a mile away, a perfect case for my certain skill set. He had a halo of the highest grade, he just hadn't met me yet. And that is literally it, because if you know, you know, like Cade has a heart of gold. He's a single dad. This is a single dad trope if you didn't know, and Willa becomes the nanny. And you know deep down that Cade has like a heart of gold and his kid loves him. And like, you know, he's had to raise his child like on his own before obviously Willa comes into the equation. And she sees this and she knows this, and she's like, I'm gonna fix him. Like, I am gonna bring him out of this life slump, I suppose, that he's in, and bring that light back into his life. And I feel like that is Heartless embodied completely. I didn't think I was single parent girly before I read this book, but I ate it up. I didn't normally like children in books. I don't know. I think it's just because for me at the moment in my life, like it's not that relatable. And I feel like I do normally enjoy books that I feel like I can connect to and relate to more so than anything else. But I ate this up. I loved it. This was also a 5-star for me. I think I might have gone wrong in the track list, which is a bit annoying. I think I might be going back a bit here because I haven't done Who's Afraid of Little Old Me yet, which is my favourite song on that album, and I knew it instantly. It was my favourite song from the first listen, and it is still my favourite song now. That song makes me feel a kind of way, and it's just goosebump inducing. When I heard that first chorus for the first time, brain chemistry changed. If you are active in the book community online, again, you might have seen like everyone and their gran compare Who's Afraid of Little Old Me to Throne of Glass. And while I'm sure that is probably the perfect comparison, as I say, I haven't finished Throne of Glass yet. My next book is Heir of Fire. So I'm in no position to really make that comparison because I haven't really got into the thick of that yet. So I'm going to make a different comparison, one that I haven't seen anywhere else. So maybe I'm wrong, but it was giving me some kind of vibe. It might not fit as perfectly as Throne of Glass, but I feel like you can still relate Fourth Wing to Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. Specifically, we're obviously talking about Violet Sorrengail here. From the chorus, I was tame, I was gentle, to the circus life made me mean. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. Obviously, at the beginning of this series, Violet wanted to be a scribe. She just wanted to be involved in like the more historical, academic aspects of dragons and all that. And her mum basically forces her to enter the Riders Quadrant, which means that she has to go through life-threatening trials and tribulations in order to survive and graduate. She's also really frail and small and gentle, if you will, I suppose. So it takes an even bigger toll on her body and her mental health, I suppose. You've also got, they say they didn't do it to hurt me, but what if they did? I want to snarl and show you just how disturbed that this has made me. You wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me. Which again, with the trials and everything that she has to go through, I think that perfectly depicts that part of her life. I reckon you have been under a rock. If you haven't seen this anywhere, it's recently come out in paperback. If we're being deadly honest, not the biggest fan of Iron Flame, which is the next book in this series, but this book, I had a fantastic time. I would actually like to reread this at some point. Like the dragons are just phenomenal in this series if you haven't read it. Like, it's so entertaining and immersive. I couldn't and didn't want to put this down. So I would really highly recommend this if you're looking to get into fantasy, because while it is really high fantasy, like there's dragons and like magic systems and all that good stuff, it's also really easy to follow still. Like, it's not super complex. So this is a great one if you want to dip your toe into the genre. Then we have Love of My Life, and I'm going to recommend a book that I haven't read for a long time. So it kind of took me a while to put this connection together, and my knowledge of this book now is quite hazy. I might be due a reread because this was a 5-star when I read it, and that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And specifically I'm talking about the parents of that book, which if memory serves is June and Mick River. And if you don't know, the book follows Nina and her 3 siblings, but the book then also does flashbacks to her parents, June and Mick, growing up, because Nina is basically trying to support herself and her siblings, and she doesn't earn a lot of money, and it's just a struggle when you're just following her life and her struggles in this book. But as I say, you do also get to follow in the past her parents growing up and what they went through. And I feel like Love of My Life is just, from what I can remember, a really great fit for their relationship. Mick is a bit of a scumbag honestly. And there's parallels, I think, in the lyrics of this song that just describes them perfectly. You know, they grew up, they fell in love, they got married, they had the kids, but then he turned out to be a deadbeat and abandoned them and became the loss of June's life. So like I say, you've just got, if you know it in one glimpse, it's legendary. You and I go from one kiss to getting married. You told me I'm the love of your life, which then obviously changes at the end of the song to, oh, what a valiant roar, what a bland goodbye. The coward claimed he was a lion. I'm combing through the braids of lies. I'll never leave, never mind. And then the next part, which if you've read the book is so accurate. Our field of dreams engulfed in fire. Your arsons match your somber eyes, and I'll still see it until I die. You're the loss of my life. I'm just going to leave that there. And we've got 2 more wrecks. So I Can Do It With a Broken Heart was so easy for me. And that is Daisy Jones and the Six to a T. It is literally an extremely similar story. Daisy and Billy essentially fall in love. They shouldn't have. There's obviously a complex relationship between Daisy and Billy from the band, but Billy is also married to Camilla, has kids with her. This is obviously leaving Daisy with a whole load of feelings, and just the lyrics perfectly encapsulate. Obviously she's on stage performing every night with Billy, this really complex relationship, and you've got, they said, babe, you gotta fake it till you make it, and I did. Lights, camera, bitch, smile, even when you want to die. He said he'd love me all his life. Breaking down, I hit the floor, all the pieces of me shattered as the crowd was chanting more. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. It literally, it screams Daisy Jones and the Six for me. I think it is such a perfect fit. Again, that was a 5-star read. I haven't read that book now for several years. I would love to reread it, maybe in audiobook form, because I've heard that is the way. And Daisy Jones and the Six also has a TV show, which I have watched. It was incredible. I loved it. And then the last one, which is The Alchemy. And we've got, for this, one more repeat book that I have already mentioned before, because I just couldn't think of anything else. So again, in my head, it was kind of screaming Powerless again by Elsie Silver, Jasper and Sloane. Ditch the clowns, get the crown, baby, I'm the one to beat, because the sign on your heart said it's still reserved for me. Honestly, who are we to fight the alchemy? Heart still reserved for me. Jasper has always waited for Sloane, and who are we to fight the alchemy? Like, they're just naturally drawn together, like, since they were children. So why keep fighting it, you know? If you didn't know, Jasper in this book is a NHL player, and The Alchemy is obviously written about Travi. He's a football player, right? He plays American football, I think. I'm pretty sure. Which is, I suppose, just like sports talk, and Jasper is hockey player. But that could also feel like, to be fair, reading that now, that could also relate to Icebreaker, which is also a hockey romance, and the main male character Nate in that plays hockey. So yeah, but we're throwing this back in there because, again, I love this book. It was a 5-star read for me, and I felt like it just fit really well. And those, my friends, are all of my Tortured Poets Department book recs. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't ramble for too long, and I hope maybe I've encouraged you to read one of these books. Definitely play the album while you're reading them, because like I say, some of these lyrics just scream the contents of these books. Let me know if you'd want to see a part 2. Maybe I will go through the anthology and do another video like this. I've read plenty of books, so I'm sure I can find parallels somewhere. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself here today, and I will catch you next week with a brand new video. Bye, friends.